The unknown comes to life. Bigfoot walks the darkness prowl beneath the midnight sky. From the slopes to mountain passes where the mysteries survive. A legend begins with a sighting, and the story will never die. Will it die?
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the show. As you guys see, my guest is here, ready to rock and roll. You guys, welcome to the Cryptid Podcast. I'm your host, Dano. I got a great show for you guys tonight. I have I would say, partner of Nomatica Films and the executive producer of the new season, everybody, of Monster Quest. Jared, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year, bud. How you been?
I've been great, man. Happy New Year to you too.
We're not too late to say that, right? We can still say Happy New Year. We're within the window.
We're just a week in, man. It's still a new year.
We got time.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm glad you're here. It was an honor and a privilege to meet you and Hannah and the rest of the crew. And thank you for flying me out to Seattle and letting me. I wouldn't say it was an audition. Really, I didn't even know I did an audition. I was just talking to Hannah.
Just talking to Hannah. That's how it should feel, man. It should never feel like an audition. Right?
Yeah, and then I got to meet you guys, and I'm super excited. So, you guys, if you don't know, if you haven't heard, well, hopefully you've heard that Monster Quest is now back for season 5, new season. Last Friday was episode 1. We had Martin Groves on there. We had I think Randy Harrington was on there, and a bunch of other people were on there. Also, you guys, this Friday is going to be episode 2. I don't know who's going to be on that one, but on the 16th, so next Friday, yours truly is going to be on there. So it's going to be episode 3. I'm super excited about it. I'm
excited for you to see it. It's going to be great. I'm so excited for you to see it. It's awesome.
Well, when I went there to interview or tell my encounter, I was so nervous, man.
Really? It didn't come across at all.
Oh, bro, I was so nervous. But you really put my mind at ease, and then also having Hannah there, and then Hannah's husband, and then your other person was there. You guys were so gracious, and you guys just made it such a chill environment. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. So, how you been? How's things going, man?
Things are good. Yeah, things are good. I mean, it's so exciting to start the year with, the reboot of Monster Quest kicking off, and that's just been, we got just such cool feedback on it, and I'm really proud of it. You kind of pour yourself into these shows, and it's kind of this race once you get going to get it all done. And I always say, used to be this great author that I used to love to name Peter Matheson, and he used to say when he'd write, he'd eventually have to abandon what he was doing. He'd have to abandon it, and I feel like that's how it always is with these shows, man. Like you work and work and work and work, and you have like that deadline, and you just get it as far as you can by that deadline, and then you have to kind of just abandon it. And we tweaked for as long. We're still tweaking the final episodes, getting as many sort of just dialing them in as much as we can. But I'm really proud of them. And, the biggest thing for me is just making sure that the people who took part in them are happy with the product. So I'll be anxiously awaiting what you think of your story and episode in a week or so.
I'll give you a critique.
Yeah, please do.
I will tell you, man, what a banger episode coming right out of the box with Martin Groves and Randy Harrington. I'd never heard Randy's encounter, so I'm going to be trying to reach out to him to get him on the show. And I know
you should. He's great. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Randy. Also with Martin, I know some people who are really close with Martin, and I've chatted with Martin on occasion, and hopefully I can get him on the show as well. But let's just get this whole thing rolling. So let me ask you this. I ask this usually of all my guests: is what what was it that got you first interested in the whole um, genre of cryptids?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been doing TV and film, forever. And, I kind of got into it to have this adventure and travel the world and kind of put myself in places I had no business being in, but I love that sort of perspective from a storytelling perspective because it kind of puts you in the shoes of the audience, right? You're getting there and then you have to hustle up to educate yourself to tell a thoughtful, educated story as quickly as possible. And I was lucky enough to work on one of the earlier seasons of Monster Quest. And I was basically hired to go do mostly the field when it came to the Abominable Snowman in Nepal. And so I did one of the earlier episodes, and that really just sort of introduced me. I mean, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so Sasquatch, Bigfoot. I mean, it was just part of my upbringing. I had, friends and friends' parents who always used to tell stories of their encounters, and I never had any of my own. But that was sort of like the growing up here. And then I did a bunch of survival type programming for a while and worked with some really incredible survivalists, from the show Alone and different places like that. And a lot of these people had these encounter stories of when they were alone and out there in the woods. And that really aligned to my experience doing that one episode of Monster Quest years and years and years ago. Because, a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, they took you to the most remote corners of the world with some of the most fascinating people. On that trip, I met Adam Davies. I don't know if you know who Adam Davies is, but he's incredible. And he and I have stayed close and friends for just years and years. So getting to spend weeks in the in the Himalayan mountains of Nepal with Adam was just amazing. And that also introduced me to this guy named Ian Redmond, who is, basically was Diane Fossey's understudy before she was killed. And we cast him to come with us to look for the Yeti. And I remember when I called him, he said, I couldn't get a hold of him. And I was like, oh man, I really want this guy to come with us. And finally I heard from him. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I've been studying cave elephants for the last, X amount of weeks. And I just came out of the field. And I was like, oh, come on, man. But he gave me such a unique perspective into the world. I remember sitting down and interviewing him, and he said, and I said, do you think that the Yeti could be real out here? And he said, hey, listen, like the Virunga gorillas were just discovered not that long ago. And before then, they were local legend and travelers' tales. And here in Nepal, you have a more remote area, and you have climbers and people who sort of are existing in sort of those fringe remote areas of our planet, and local travelers' tales. And he said, so the likelihood that something is here and just hasn't been discovered is high. And that was fascinating, coming from like a biologist, somebody like that and giving me that perspective. And that kind of put the whole thing in perspective for me. So since then, I mean, again, like Adam and I have stayed close over the years. I live in the Pacific Northwest now. And I just continue to hear story after story after story. And I would find as time went by, the stories were only increasing. It didn't feel, at first when I first started out, it felt kind of rare, like a unique thing that someone would have an encounter. But man, the more I started having those conversations, whether it was a long drive or was it on a bush plane with someone in Alaska, I would say a lot more people than I would ever expect have had stories where they can't explain something. Something unexplainable has happened. And so for me, I was always something I wanted to circle back to, and always wanted to re-explore. And so when this opportunity arose, it was really exciting.
Yeah, it doing this podcast, I've been introduced to a lot of people, like a lot of people. I've gone to two this year. 2025, I went to my very first two Bigfoot conferences. The Minnesota Bigfoot Conference, where I met Abe Del Rio, Russell Accord, Myra Mayer, I think that's how you say her first name, all from Expedition Bigfoot. And then I met Todd Neese.
Yeah.
And I just had him on my show last night. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I've heard Todd's encounter before on Sasquatch Chronicles. And, you're right. I never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting here talking to you, an executive producer of one of my favorite shows growing up, let alone, well, not really growing up. I was already an adult when they came out, but just in that whole genre of things, it really um, makes it almost surreal in a way because not only that, but I'm also happy to call Doug Highcheck a friend of mine. He lives like less than 20 miles away from me, and like you, I grew up. Oh, someone just said there's an echo. I think it's
Is it
coming from, yeah, I think it's you. Okay. But what I was talking about was, I get a chance to meet these people and pick their brain, and it just helps me grow, and it helps me kind of cope with what I kind of dealt with during my sightings and things like that. But bef- let's kind of pull off of that real quick. Let me ask you, how did Nomatica Films, how did that come about?
Yeah, so we do a bunch of different programs. I mean, I've done kid shows for Netflix to limited series for Netflix for Discovery. I kind of grew up in, sort of expedition, adventure, male-driven television, bunch of feature docs. And so we're all constantly talking to networks, constantly, constantly, constantly. And so we were just, honestly, we were sitting down talking to History Channel one day and talking about a bunch of concepts, and a lot of time it just came up. It's like, well, what about something in the cryptid world, And again, I think I've probably just been talking to Adam, not too long ago, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. And I remember talking to them and just like, those stories are just so prevalent right now. In History Channel right now, a lot of their programming is sort of that, those sort of first person encounters, events, experts talking about it, and so we felt like there was potential structure there. And so they're like, yeah, that could be something. So we did it's called a development deal, which means they sort of give us a little bit of money just to put together what we called like a show Bible, like a pitch deck, a little sizzle reel, and to go shoot some footage. And that's when we went and filmed that's how I met Martin. And so I went out and went out to Land Between the Lakes with Martin, met Bart and Nunnally, and we went out there and we filmed what would be sort of like it's called a sizzle tape. And so it kind of gives a sense of the network of like, hey, this is kind of what we'd be thinking. This is kind of how it would look like. We wanted these really cinematic recreations. We wanted these really sort of intimate interviews with people, and to sort of walk them through their story and then support it with all this sort of archival articles and information and backstory. And history, it's when you submit these, you're like, oh man, I hope they go for it. Most of the time they don't, right? I mean, that's just the name of the game in this business, which is you develop and pitch a volume of stuff. And they said, let's go for it. Let's do 8 episodes. And so then it was just like diving right in, and it was so fun. But yeah, it's just born out of a conversation. Initially, we didn't even know it was going to be called, Monster Quest, to be honest. That was not a, I didn't know I didn't know what the backstory of that or how that came to be or who owned the title. And, a lot of networks now are sort of looping shows into sort of old IP. And so they're like, let's just roll with Monster Quest. It's a beloved show. People loved it. Let's just bring back the title and have this underneath that title. So it worked perfectly, and I was thrilled, obviously, to be able to do that. But yeah, it started with a conversation, really. And we were talking about a few different things. And this was something that was top of mind when we were there talking to him. And, yeah, you just sort of start going little by little. And obviously, talking to Martin really sort of crystallized to me what this series could be. Credible people, in-depth stories. Some of them are really scary. Some of them are not really scary. They're just really interesting. And that was really, meeting Martin was very inspiring to me, and just sort of his credibility and his backstory and that unique one. So that really made me feel like I could make this my life for at least the next year, and I would be thrilled to sort of dive into that. But yeah, that's how it came to be. It just started with a conversation and then putting together the materials, and away we were off and running.
Yeah, that's amazing when you come full circle with something, because I don't remember how long Monster Quest has been off the air, but you're talking about scary stories and what you guys are using. I know 2 people that I introduced to you, and one is Taylor, and hers is she didn't even know she made it, and so I went and I sent her a link and I go, "You're on here. You're here." And she sent it. She got super happy. So what we're gonna do is when her episode airs and what my episode airs, we're gonna come together and we're just gonna kind of do a critique of it and what's going on so far with it. But yeah, I know you did grow up. Whereabouts in the Pacific Northwest did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up around Puget Sound, so sort of just south of Seattle. Not far from Aberdeen. I think where you are you Tacoma? Yeah, you're in
Yeah,
Tacoma, so I'm right around near Tacoma. And I spent a lot of my childhood going up to the mountains, just like you did. Going to
yep.
those places. I mean, we actually, Daniel, we filmed your recreation literally in the woods, like in the property behind my. I have like a 5-acre property out here, so we filmed it like right here.
Way.
And it's so fun, and it just fit perfectly. It just like fit perfectly, and yeah. So I grew up around here. It's like I said, this was sort of always that. That back to it always was interesting to me, just as part of the culture here. Just I'm sure you grew up hearing stories like that. I did too, and
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a beautiful place, and I love this idea that there's something out there that we don't know. I think this idea that like humanity has discovered everything and science is at the edge of human knowledge, and that is just, I think, so uninteresting. So for me, these types of stories and allowing myself to imagine and wonder and has been a real treat.
So let me ask you this. I think you said yes or oh yeah. I think that's what you replied. How you replied when I said, "Have you had any encounters of your own?" And if you have, what were they and where were you when these happened?
Yeah, so Adam was coming to the Northwest, Adam Davies, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to go up to the North Cascades with this woman named Lori Simmons, who's, I don't know if you know that name, Lori Simmons, but her father was Donald Lee Wallace, who spent 28 plus years living, basically living up in the North Cascades,
Mhm.
trying to track Bigfoot." And at that time, I was sort of, I just got finished doing the first Monster Quest episode that I had done, and I was really interested in it. And I know that she had just these mountain of tapes. This guy must have just walked around the woods, North Cascades, with those old giant tape recorder, just recording the sounds of nature in the Northwest. And I loved it. So he's like, "Hey, you want to come up with us on this adventure? And we're going to go to the area where Donald used to go. And Lori has this area and I'd love for you to see it." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, absolutely, let's go." So I brought a buddy with me, my buddy Ray, and we drove all the way up, and it was deep in the Cascades. I mean, it was like up as the air. So it was like up I-5, and then it was it was east into the Cascades hours and hours and hours. And it was right at the end of winter, so there's still snow on the ground, beautiful. And so we go into these woods. There's nobody else there. It's just us. It's kind of this, outside of this campground. And she goes up to this tree. And this tree she says she always leaves. She called Sasquatch the big guy. She said, "I always leave something for the big guy at the bottom of this tree." And she has apples and chocolate. And she's almost talking to him. And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is fun. I don't know what I'll hear or what I'll see, but this is fun." So we kind of did that for a little while. And she would sort of stomp on the ground near this tree, and we'd all sit there quietly, and we didn't hear anything, like nothing at all. And I was like, "Oh man, bummer. I'm not gonna see anything. I'm not gonna hear anything." So we sort of walk around those woods for a little bit, and find some places. Adam's like, "Oh, that could be something, or that could be something." Walking through the woods with Adam Davies is a blast. He's like he's so locked into that sort of stuff. And then Lori, and there's a pretty big group of us. It was Adam, it was Lori, it was me and a buddy, and then there was a couple other people from the UK that were buddies of Adam's that flew in with him as well. And Lori's like, "Jared, let me take you back. Let me just go to the tree, just you and I. And I had like a little DSLR camera and a little external microphone, and we go back to this tree, and we're sitting there, and she's sort of talking, like talking to the big guy. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we just hear this growl, this deep growl from right below us. And I just, I just like froze, and I'm looking around, and the area is sort of, it's snow covered, but it's that area, it's almost like the Hoh rainforest where it has that beautiful, like thick moss covered
Yep.
floor. For anyone who has not been to the Hoh rainforest and seen places like that, it's storybook. But it wasn't the Hoh, but it felt like that. Like it had that really mossy floor, so it had that nice little spring to it. And then all of a sudden, like, we're kind of hitting my foot, and it was like if you're living in an apartment building and someone was below you, and they take a broom and they hit it on the ceiling above them, like, stay quiet up there. And there was this knocking, this boom, 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 growl, boom, 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 growl. And over and over and over that was happening. And I was like, maybe it's a bear, maybe it's something else. I couldn't figure out what it was. And I walked all about the forest looking for entryways. Was there like a little cave or entryway? I couldn't find anything. But then everyone kind of came back and came to this place, and we're all making these noises, and everyone's hearing it. And I have like a little recording that if you put headphones on, you can hear like the growl, you can hear all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it was incredible, and that was sort of my first sort of encounter. Again, I didn't see anything; it was everything I heard. But just being, I think, where Donald Lee Wallace, spent all that time researching in a place where he felt like this Sasquatch lived for all those years, and for 28 years he's basically studied them up there and sort of lived there looking for evidence. And so that was my experience, and I have Adam to thank for it. He took me up there, and it's just something I truly never forget. And when I see my buddy Ray, who came with me, every single time, this is always what we talk about. We always talk about this encounter. I think our wives get really annoyed with us because we're always yapping about it. But it is just like, I think it's not the encounter you had. It's not this. It wasn't scary. It was curious. It was interesting. But it's been like years, 10 years. Everything feels like a couple years ago, and then when I think about it, it's been like 10 years ago. Like my sense of time is totally warped since I had kids. But it's been a long time, and probably longer than 10 years actually. I think about it, 14 years, and I think about it all the time. I know Hannah has a ghost story. I don't know if she told you her ghost story that she had too. So she has had an experience as well. But I always, it's interesting to me when, anyone that we interviewed, it was, people had these experiences so long ago, and they thought about it, I feel like, every day for their entire life to differing degrees.
Yep.
And, so it really imprints them. Maybe it was just a bear. We can always sort of say, oh, it was this or it was that. But it didn't make any sense to me, at that time. And my first thought was a bear. It's got to be a bear down there.
Yeah.
But it was awesome, and it was under the same tree that Lori said she'd always go and sort of have her interactions with the big guy in the same forest that Donald Lee Wallace was in, and we all heard it. Everyone came back and heard it. So it was a special experience. It was really cool.
So let me ask you this. So when she was stomping on the ground, was that kind of her way of just letting the big guy know that she was there or she was in the area?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. She definitely would bring and leave gifts. She had apples. She had some chocolate. She talked to him she said she'd been coming there since she was young. So I think this is just something she'd been doing since she was younger. With her dad, and they'd always go to this one tree. So I think, if I remember correctly, I do think that initially we just heard the growl. But yeah, the stomping is just something that she did to get, I think, maybe to get more of a reaction or something. I don't know, but it was awesome, and it went on for 30 minutes. It was quite the thing. And then I just spent the rest of the time roaming around the woods trying to find how to access that area, because it's a giant tree. Just a giant tree up there that this sound was coming from underneath.
Yeah. From my last encounter that I had in 92 to my most recent one, it was 33 years. And it just happened right over what happened in Michigan, just over right around Halloween. Went up to see my son and my granddaughter. It was her birthday on the 1st of November. And we'd been there a couple of days, and I was just hooting and hollering and screaming and making a bunch of ruckus. And one night we got back from dinner, and someone left some food in the car, and I went out and I just did a whoop and got to the car, and I hear 3 loud tree knocks, and it was about 150, 200 feet away from me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome.
and then next week I'm heading to Arkansas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we'll be doing my buddy Josh. We'll be doing a investigation on, I think it's Friday night. So we'll be in the woods all night. We're doing a meet and greet on Thursday. So
When you do those, what do you bring with you?
uh
Like cameras, audio recorders?
well,
What
I'm
are the
flying.
tools?
I'm flying, so I don't have any of that stuff. Yeah, guys, I know the echo is back. I know, guys, because I'm not muting him. So, okay, there we go. So, um, uh, I'm gonna just bring like a headlamp, backup flashlight. Again, I'm flying, so I'm not gonna be packing a bunch of stuff. But Josh has cameras, and then I mean, there's a Walmart nearby. So if I need to get a different flashlight or something like that, then I'll just go ahead and grab it. Plus, I'll have my phone all charged up and things like that. So, hopefully, and we'll be going up there with another person. I don't want to say with who just yet because I think there's a good possibility that a documentary is going to be getting shot at the same time. So, I just kind of want to keep that portion of who we're there with and until we can get the okay to maybe talk about it. So, but it's primarily um, focused on Josh and his encounter when he was 14 years old, because that's where he's from. And he just got a really cool text today that a person that he's known since elementary school reached out to him and says, hey, I remember having some weird things happen around that field and da. So it's kind of like in the exact same area. So it's kind of putting a little more credence to his own encounter. So it's pretty spectacular. So
It's pretty cool. I mean, I think with cameras, technology has changed so much, that, what we would need a huge crew and lots of money and technology to accomplish. It's a lot of it's consumer available right now. So I feel like this opportunity to get, that one piece of evidence that is just undeniable. It just feels like we're any day is what it feels like to me. It's just any day that's going to happen. And that's, to me, that's really exciting. I can't wait for you to see this episode this Friday too, though. It's really good. Like it's all based on people in the military that have had experiences before, whether it was like when they were downrange in Afghanistan, in Iraq, stationed abroad, and they're amazing. One story up here in the Cascades, actually not far from where I had my encounter or my experience. This guy who was doing, I don't know if you know what SEER training is, but it's basically like, yep. So he was a pilot. He was doing SEER training up there. I won't give much away because people, but it's, and he's just, and he's an older guy now, and he said he never talked about it. And he was just talking to his grandkids one day, and they asked him some questions about what it was like growing up and, getting into the military. And this is the story that came up. And so he just started talking about it, but they're cool stories and very different, different creatures that I hadn't heard of before. Jinns, Dark Guardians. One guy was in Saddam's palace. I mean, there's some really, not only is it kind of cool encounter stories, but where the stories take you to explore a space and place are pretty neat. So give me your critique of that when you see it.
Oh, I will. The Jinn are they are. I don't want to mess with the Jinn. And now I have a cousin who, 82nd Airborne Ranger, Green Beret, has seen the world, probably 100 times over. And I've tried to ask him questions, and he just does not open up at all. So, he wished me a happy birthday. My birthday was on the 1st. He texted me and wished me a happy birthday. And that took me by surprise, because he never reaches out, and just give me birthday, happy birthday. That was really cool. So I just let him know. I said, hey man, it means to me a lot more than what you think it does. So I appreciate you. But
happy birthday.
I appreciate that, man. Let me ask you this. Where are we going from season 5? Do you see a season 6 possibly?
Oh, I sure hope so. I mean, I think one thing, if anything, this season has taught me is that there are so many great stories out there, and I think that like with each story, I think it furthers our understanding of history and aligns one story with the next. So yeah, there's no shortage of stories. But yeah, we won't know that for a little while. Whether there's so many things that go into whether the series gets renewed. Obviously, it's how successful it is and how successful it is for the network and History Channel. But I'm optimistic. I think that the Monster Quest is it was a part of my childhood. Like I grew up watching it and I got to work on it. And I think it was a big part of other people's too. So the feedback I got is people are really excited that the series is back and that these stories are back on sort of a platform like History Channel. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we get to do more episodes, but that's a little bit out of my control at this point. I've done everything I can do, but now it's up to powers outside of my power.
Well, I've been throwing it out there. I'm like, hey, you guys, if you don't know, on Friday, January 2nd, the new season of Monster Quest is coming out. He's like, whoa, what? Monster Quest? I'm like, yep, I'm gonna be on episode 3. You guys got to check it out. But I'm just gonna kind of throw this out there because people say, if you don't ever take your shot, maybe something. So if you ever have a plan on having like a show kind of like this and you need a host, I'm right here.
I love it. You do a great job. You are an awesome host. You You do this stuff. I mean, the creation of like all of these opportunities for people to have these conversations and to feel like they're I think back in the day people really judged about this. It felt like it had consequences to people's lives. Now it's like, I mean, man, police officers, military personnel, judges. That's one of my favorites from this season is we have a story of this judge who was when he was a young guy had an encounter with like what he thinks was a dogman type creature, and it just it's not like these encounters have a type. There's no type.
No.
It's just people are out living their life and they experience something unexpected. So yeah, I think that there's plenty of stories to be had and coming from unexpected places with unexpected creatures and the history was something that there's one thing to have a story. And I think the stories were always really fascinating for me. But when you dig into sort of the history of the trends and of what's happened in this area, and you really sort of dig deep, these are not like one-off occurrences.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. And that to me is really fascinating. It's not like people go into these thinking like, oh, this is where something's happened before. They have their experience and then they do what we did, which they start to research and they're looking for answers. And I think that was something that really was eye-opening for me. Is just how the history behind these encounters and everywhere's a hot spot. Where there's one encounter, there's more, and that's something that there was really very few exceptions to that in the series.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't know how long you guys were interviewing folks and things like that, but looking back at all the interviews you did and all the stories you heard, is there one that when you got done with the interview and the person left, they went about, they went their way and you guys, went and got lunch at the lobby or breakfast, because I saw you guys get lunch, but was there one story that when they left, you're like, oh, like you kind of had to catch your breath. And you're like, holy smokes.
Oh man, it's so tough to pick one because I mean we spoke to hundreds of people, to cast this. It was, and so the 40 stories we ended up, we landed on, they were all really fascinating. I mean, certainly Martin's story was that it will stay with me for the rest of my life. I really do think that it will. Scott Davis's story, who was in the first episode with the shadow creature.
Oh,
we have a couple shadow creatures. I mean, I tell you, it's funny. I'm not the bravest person. I'll be the first one to say that. Like, I have an active imagination. My mind likes to. I've been that way since I was a kid. And doing this series and walking out on my dark property, taking my dog for a walk at night around the property, man, my mind, I would be like, no, don't you be wandering. Like, let's stay focused. But the shadow creatures, Those ones really, because a lot of times they showed up in personal places, your home, your bedroom, and we have probably 3 or 4 of those stories in the series. There were a couple of UFO ones. I remember when I was a kid watching Fire in the Sky, and that was like just it marked me for all the wrong reasons. It marked me, and so there we had a couple stories that sort of feed into that and happening in sort of the same area. And so that brought back a lot of memories for me. Those ones were really strong, but they were all, each story tailors. I mean, they all really jump out for different reasons, whether it's learning about a creature, trying to imagine what it is. I mean, obviously, the other thing we're doing in this series, we film these physical recreations with actors and cameras and lights, and we're lighting up entire, sections of woods up in the North Bend area in the Cascades. We were just filmed all over the Pacific Northwest. But then we did use AI technology to sort of like composite some of those creatures into our live action footage. And, getting to a place of trying to do obviously so many iterations of that to try to get something that I think would meet what I have in my mind when I heard the story, that was really interesting and really challenging. But yeah, I don't know, that's a really hard question to say which one. I feel like all of them, I would walk out and just be like, whew. I've said this before, and one of the hardest parts in the series is the fact that there's 5 stories per episode. I mean, each story could have been their own episode. Each story could have lasted 60+ minutes. I mean, the amount of memories and details that the people we spoke with had about their encounter was incredible. It makes it feel undeniable to me. I'm not one who I'm sitting there where I'm not listening, being like, oh, is this true or not true? That's not my approach. My approach, and I think it's more enjoyable for me, and I think it gets a better product. Is I jump in with I'm fully in it, and that's my approach when I'm interviewing is. I want people to share openly and honestly and fearlessly with me their experiences. And so I don't honestly, I don't question it. I don't question it. I feel like everyone has experienced something they can't explain. And that is the root of all of them. And is it what they say it is? Is it something? I think that a lot of people are still on a journey to try to figure out what it is, to try to get those answers. And it's why they're still talking about it. And it's why they're still looking to their communities, because they're still looking for those answers and to come to grasp with this experience they had. So I don't know. There's really not one that I'm like, I will remember all of these until the day I die, for better or worse. Every single story will stick with me. And I'm sure, if we're lucky enough to do another season, I'm sure that the rest of those will too.
Yeah. There was a lady who went right after me, and I got to talk with her a little bit, but she didn't get too much into her story. And then I saw her on the preview. So I'm like super stoked. And then a buddy of mine, he sent me a screenshot, and there I am on the screenshot. And I'm like, oh, sweet. And I've looked for that trailer. I can't find it anywhere, where I can't find myself. And I saw one with Taylor, and I sent that to her, but I just want to let you guys know that this guy right here plays my dad in my episode. And I'm super stoked to see how you did, because I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think you're taller than my dad. My dad was only 5'7", but you got some big shoes to fill.
Oh, I know it. I felt it. You know who else I played that I felt a huge debt, and I apologize, was Martin. I played Martin, and my wife didn't even know until she saw a close up. She's like, "Is that you?" And I was like, "That's me." But I remember when I was telling Martin about this, I was like, "Man, I got to apologize. You got some ugly mug playing you in this, and I'm not doing you justice." But it was really fun. I mean, I think for me, it was all about really trying to amplify the stories with the visuals, not take away from them, not trying to make them more than they are. Even the shots sometimes of the creatures, it's quick. It's quick. I didn't want to linger. I didn't want the audience I didn't want the creature to be the focus and picking it apart. Oh, that detail's off or this detail's off. These are human stories. They're about they're about people. And so for us, that was really the focus: is let's get people in the chair, let's get them telling their story first person. You get emotional telling your story, and obviously, where it takes you back to in terms of your history with your father, and that was really touching to me. It just, you see these sort of, you had a moment in your story where it gave you insight into your father that you didn't have before out of this sort of somewhat traumatic experience. And that really stuck to me too. I did a series years and years ago in National Geographic called Inside Combat Rescue, where I was stationed in Afghanistan with a special ops Air Force unit for 2 years in a row, 3 months at a time. And so that the military community, which is another reason I'm so excited about the episode this Friday. But the story of your dad and what he went through, and having PTSD coming back from Vietnam, like that stuff that really strikes a chord with me. And again, it's a detail of your story, but it's an unforgettable one for me. And it really resonated. So I always appreciate that you shared that with us.
Hopefully you cut me out kind of getting choked up. I hope that hit the. No, it's in there. Come on, man.
I can't promise you that.
But you mentioned the monsters, and I actually read a review on the trailer on YouTube, and guy was brutal about it. Oh, the same, dumb monsters and things. So let me ask you this. So you've worked on an episode of the old Monster Quest, seasons 1 through 4. We've all seen how the monsters are recreated and things like that. How do they differ from seasons 1 through 4 to season 5 now?
I just think it just like how camera equipment has evolved so much over the years, and what we can do with a camera, so has what we can do, with technology, to sort of to visualize these monsters. I wanted because this season of Monster Quest is all about first person encounters or personal encounters. I really wanted to make sure we could dial the creature into the world that the encounter happened, and you could sort of customize that in. And yeah, I know the 30-second trailer kind of, people didn't like it because it was like literally, and I think I was excited for people to see the full episodes and to see there was like an 11-minute sneak peek that came out that focused on Martin's story, because the trailer made it think like it was just one AI shot after our next, and obviously like it's used much more specifically than that in the series. But yeah, I think that the trying to portray the monsters and the creatures through AI was challenging, and I think that the best model that we settled on was less is more. Less is more. And I think that does justice to the encounter too. I think that most encounters are not like these long thing where someone's staring at something for 2 minutes where you're seeing like every single detail. We wanted it to be something quick, something that sort of allowed the audience to have an image of what people experience. Obviously, we use the stories, and the tools now allow us to customize the visuals of these creatures to really curtail them to everyone's specific encounters and the details that they're saying. And obviously, there's budgetary limitations too. And I'm really proud of what we did with the AI visuals. I think that you can go too far. I think that there are certainly things it doesn't do well. But I think for what we want, how I wanted to use it, which was again to sort of transport the audience so that they were right there with you in that tree stand. So they were right there with you in that truck driving away. As your uncle's shooting at the back of the pickup truck. They were right there with Martin at that campsite with his partner when he thinks it's a guy smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh man, that's not a guy smoking a cigarette." Yeah. I mean, those are moments that take customized visual approaches. And I think that the in seasons 1 through 4 of Monster Quest, the creature really was the star. That it was really that, and I love that. I thought that was really cool. But I think because and so you were able to do sort of like, this is what this creature probably looks like, and they had we had that little spinning thing. But this way, I wanted to place the creature in the encounter, in the story, and so we used the tools that we had in our disposal, and I'm really proud of what we accomplished with it. I think it's just enough to allow the audience to feel something, to feel that fear. It's not someone dressed up in a suit. That as storytellers we've had to do for years, and there's limitations to that. It allowed us to play with darkness a lot. I think filming in the dark and allowing those visuals to cut out of darkness is a challenge visually in sort of the field, and the AI technology allowed us to do that. But there are limitations to it, and I like that. I like that there are limitations. I like that there are things. I think the best blend we got is when we shot a live action recreation, and we filmed it all from our shoulder with lights and a crew. And then that AI was just that quick moment. It was a glance, it was a look, it was a little detail. And then we're back with the person in their encounter again as they're either running away or retreating or whatever that was. To me, that was the sweet spot of the whole thing. But it was a learning process. I've never used those tools in a show before. It was the first time I'd ever done it. So we learned a lot. We learned a lot about what didn't work. We learned about what did work. And I think where we netted out, would I go back and probably do some things differently? On every show, I would do something differently. I think anyone that says they wouldn't are complete liars. Like I said, you get to the end of your schedule and your budget, and you say, as good as I got, I hope it resonates with people, and I hope people love it. And that's how it got with this. And if we're lucky enough to do another season, the way that AI is sort of evolving, those image and what we're able to do will only get better. We had this goal of basically shooting these plates. Like basically we'd shoot the format was we'd shoot plates with our live action cameras, and then we would basically use those plates to sort of in some ways a composite the creature into it. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But we're still sort of like dialing that in, but I'm really happy with how it worked. And I think it works for this series really, really well as far as what we were able to do. But you can't please everybody. Some people are going to be upset. I understand. I don't love AI for everything either, but I think this was a really good application for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like you mentioned on episode 1, there's a part where he's standing by the fire. He looks off and he thinks it's like another person out there, and he's smoking a cigarette. And then all of a sudden, the second eye opens up, and then it's kind of steps out. And I'm telling you right now, I've watched every single episode of season 1 through 4. That was a fantastic, and it just shows you the leaps and bounds that technology has done. Using AI, I use AI to create the thumbnails, and for the thumbnail for this episode, I think I went to bed about almost 2:00 in the morning. I think I made like 15 or 16 different thumbnails, trying to little tweaks here, little tweaks there. I'm still not happy with it, but I mean, I looked at the clock. I'm like, I got to get to bed. I got to get up at 5:30. So
you had to abandon it. Yeah, absolutely.
And it worked, but it could have been a little bit better, I think. So.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is the same thing I would say with a show or a visual or anything like that. We learned a lot. Sound design is really fun in these shows. Just the sounds and bringing that in. We're in that stage with the later episodes right now, where we're adding the sort of sound, the quiet footprints footsteps that they hear. It really just brings the scene alive. I always think that, for everything we can accomplish visually, sound for me is everything. Sound, it just like it really pulls me in. So that we put a lot of attention towards that. I mean, the layers, and no one knows this watching the show, but the layers of sound design within each scene are insane. I mean, if you were to look at our Avid timeline in the series, it looks just nutso with how many sound effects are in there. And again, you don't notice them. If you notice them, you're failing. Ideally, it's just all part of the environment and pulling you in. And my favorite things, I've had friends who aren't in the cryptid community. They're and they, I remember a buddy of mine the other day was like, I watched it with my kids, and I was like, oh man, like my kid watched my 8-year-old when I was cutting we were putting the sizzle tape together. He's like, Dad, can I watch? I'm like, no. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna. Can't let you watch. I can't. She's like, oh, Dad, I'm fine. Let me just watch it. So I was like, I don't think so, buddy. Like, I don't think so. And he just wore me down. It's like his superpower. He wore me down. And I let him watch it, and a couple days go by. And I went, I'm like, all right, buddy, you got to go downstairs, get ready for bed. He's like, Dad, can you walk me downstairs? And I was like, why? He's like, I'm scared of the dark, man. And I was like, no. And it's been over a year, and he still won't go downstairs. So I would just say, show it to your kids. But it is, it's meant to create feeling in the audience, meant to make them feel something, whether that's fear or wonder or amazement or whatever it is. So yeah, watch it with your kids. But my buddy the other day, he said he watched episode 1, and it's him, his wife, and his 2 kids. And I said, all right, which was your favorite story? And he's like, my favorite, meaning the one that scared us the most. And each one of them had a different story that like stuck with them, and I think that's what a good story does, a good story. And I would say like we're communicating these stories, but the stories were strong because of people like you and people that shared their stories and went through something really traumatic and life-changing in their life. And that's what makes them, that's what makes them memorable. That's what makes them stick. We're just doing our best job to try to capture them in a way that makes them feel real and visceral and gives history around it, so people sort of understand this isn't just a one-off. It's not just about this encounter, but it's about this event that this place and community have to go through. But what really makes them special is just who tells them.
Yeah, I think out of episode 1, Randy's really, that one kind of, I've heard Martin, I've heard his story a few times. His buddy Daryl Denton, they've been friends for over 40 years, and I've heard their story together. I've read about Martin's story, but I've never heard Randy's. And just the way he set himself up, recreated a campsite, and how he described and how you made it appear like I looked out my side mirror, and at first I didn't see anything, and then I saw it peek out, and then you look back.
That movie is everywhere. He jumps out like that. I remember I was sitting there, I was like, oh man, he's so good.
Yeah, and then he the special effects you guys used, the AI you guys used to have them slowly coming down the road, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And yeah, that you guys, I'm telling you have not checked out episode 1, go back right now. It's on historychannel.com. I think you can look at it. If you did catch it, you can probably go on to demand, whatever you stream, go back. I have Sling, so you can go back on to Sling TV and just hit in Monster Quest, and boom, it's there. You can watch it.
I love Randy's story. Randy's story is great. And I remember hearing it, and I said, oh man, I can't wait to film it. Because I always feel like the stories that are so fun is when you're dealing with such limitations. Yeah. And the visuals of his are so specific. Sitting in his car, his truck, sort of everything wrapped in blankets so he can't see, and he's peeking out there and looking down, and he sees it coming up, and he doesn't want the doors to lock because he's afraid it's gonna alert him. When he was telling that story, I thought I was gonna fall off my chair, similar, just like on the edge of my seat, but I was so excited to film it because I love when filming with limitations is fun. And filming and saying, okay, I can only film, my space is just inside the cab of this truck. That's all I have to work with. I'm not running through the woods. I can't cut away. I got to be in this truck. And that was really fun. And the shadows are, the shadows aren't AI. Those are done in physical shooting. But yeah, it was really fun. The AI visuals on that one took a long time to get right. You can imagine. I'm sure trying to get the subtleties. It's just like the little subtleties of trying to make it where it's not, a bad image will take you out of a story, take you out. And we would kind of say the Jaws effect is the best thing, where you just see the fin, you just see little bits and pieces. And when you go too far, I think what it does for at least me as a viewer is it kind of, it breaks that tension I'm feeling. And hearing these stories from people, it automatically just sucks you into the story. It makes you feel so part of the story. And so, yeah, the visuals for Randy's, his story is just like, it's so cool. It's just, that was a really fun one to film.
Do you have any time? I know, see your time, you have like about an hour of time. Do you got time for a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's one from Sabrina. She is one of my moderators. if you could have any experience for any cryptid, which one would it be?
Oh man, that made me. You asked that question. I really felt like anxiety in my chest. It's like, oh, which one? Which one would I want to experience? I think. I mean, obviously, I've had the experience here, but just heard something. I'd love to have a Sasquatch experience. I think I would. Maybe it's just because it's where I'm from or where I've heard. I've just heard so many incredible encounters. Dogman's scary. That scares me. Sasquatch feels complex. There's a complexity to, I think, the history with Sasquatch and what he means. John Mianchinsky was another interview that we did. He's in one of the later episodes, and yeah. Do you know that name, John? Do you know John?
I don't.
Oh man, John is awesome. You should have him on your show. He's incredible. He's this wildlife biologist, and grew up in the East Coast and moved out to Wyoming, and he lived in the Wind River Mountains with all these bighorn sheep, and he like literally lived with them. Sort of he said he got his inspiration for his approach by Jane Goodall, and just sort of like embedding himself with this animal population. He lived in these remote areas, and he had a Bigfoot encounter out there, and his story is awesome, and there's science behind it, and there's hair samples, and there's evidence, and there's actually, to answer your question earlier, I left that one thinking I'm going to make a feature documentary with John Mianchinsky, and we're going to go find evidence of this thing. And he just so well spoken, and we interviewed him. We had to go to him because his schedule was so crazy. And he lives in this little town called Atlantic City, a population 50, in the middle of nowhere. I think it's in Utah, and it was just, oh man, Wyoming. Sorry, Wyoming is where he was. He was fascinating, but the complexity, and in yours too, you talk about the complexity of Sasquatch, and was it being territorial? What was happening? Was it really trying to attack you? And I find the history of Sasquatch with the Native American population here, but the encounters people have had with Sasquatch, it's just so they're complex, they're layered. There's like something deeper and spiritual, I think, to that to Sasquatch. So I think that's one I'd like to have. I like experiences. I like things. I like change. I like experiences. So there's not one I'm like, I would never want to have that one. Maybe I don't know I definitely don't want to be abducted. That's not one I would choose for myself. But I think Sasquatch, where I'm at, and some of those stories that I've just heard, whether growing up or doing or directing, producing this show, they're just unforgettable, and it just has made me incredibly curious to have my own experience. Hope that answers the question.
I think it does. Now Wayland, he's another one of my moderators. Out of all of the stories that you heard, say Bigfoot, Dogman, UFO, Jinn, whatever, what one of those categories would you say kind of scared you the most to hear about?
Abductions, UFOs. Yeah, those are scary, man. Missing time, just a blank spot in your memory, trying to fill in those gaps later. The vulnerability of what's up there in the sky. I have like these, I don't know about you, but sometimes I have these memories, and I think I've had them as a kid, and I can't. It's like sometimes in the brain, it's hard to sort of differentiate imagination from memory, and I think a lot of people struggle with that sometimes in terms of their experiences, is differentiating between the two. But yeah, the alien stuff is scary, and I think it's most of it involves being taken away to somewhere else, and it's just the level of powerless you have, and I think it definitely speaks to Fire in the Sky, and like that really scared me as a kid. I mean, truly, like that haunted me. That movie haunted me for a long time. And so some of the stories that we've heard of Dwight Hall, he's a really unique guy. He was a ex-military cop, and he had an incredible experience in Arizona, and he was retired. And that story really resonated with me a lot. That one was scary. Jim Powell's another one who got another one that's scary. But Dwight went somewhere. You know, like he was transported someplace, and so that one I think really resonated with me. But yeah, I have no interest in being abducted and taken someplace and trying to peel back those layers through, you know, hypnosis, regression therapy, and I think just wrestling with that, you know, like what happened to me, like that, those stories, something happened to somebody and they're trying to understand what it is that they went through and how that impacted them today. So yeah, I probably wouldn't wish that upon anybody, having an experience like that, but I'm glad people have in a way so that we can educate ourselves about it and sort of have some idea of what that might be like. But man, scary stuff.
Oh, for sure. You know, Jim's a buddy of mine. I just had him on my show again about a week or so ago. But you know, it's really weird because I had an encounter when I don't know what to make of this. So you know that movie Highlander, the one where Mario Van Peebles was in it. I think it was like Highlander 3, The Reckoning or something. I don't remember what the whole name was. But I remember when that movie came out, I was stationed in Cheyenne, Wyoming, went to the movies with some buddies of mine. And I had seen that movie before. Like, I knew exactly what was going to happen, when it was gonna happen. I was telling I said, "Guys, I've seen this movie. Like, there's no way you've seen this movie. This is brand new." I go, "No, watch. This is what's gonna happen." And it happened. And I go, "I'm telling you, I've seen this whole movie. This is how it's gonna end." And sure enough, it ended the way it did. I don't know what to make of that. I have no clue what to make of that. But that's like one of the weirdest encounters, you know, that I can't rationalize in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, isn't it weird when you have? I mean, it's some people call it like deja vu or something like that, where you feel this weird familiarity with something you're hearing, you know, and I think trying to unpack that and trying to think, okay, is it from a movie? Is it from my imagination? Is it something I experienced? And yeah, I can relate to something like that, and that's how it is with me with UFOs or aliens and stuff like that. It just, like, I have these memories when I was a kid, and but nothing more to it. I don't even know if I want to explore it. You know, it's like sometimes I feel like I just rather stay ignorant to what I might have gone through and choose to how to program my brain. You know, I thought this series doing it would I really thought that doing it I would be haunted is the right word. Haunted a little bit more about some of the stories I heard, but that wasn't really what happened. Maybe at the beginning. But I just continued to like pique my curiosity, you know, and you know, part of me wishes that I had the ability to like go back with everyone of you and everyone else, and just go back to where the encounter happened and try to sort of do. I mean, obviously with when we filmed with Martin, we were able to go into Land Between the Lakes and explore that a little bit, and that was really interesting. But you know, that's like kind of the next step for me is returning and trying to have that own experience in my life. You know, this series is very much about just living in someone else's experiences and not trying to necessarily further it or prove it or disprove it, but just like live with it and look within the history and try to figure out the deeper context of that experience. But every single one of them, I'm like, my instinct as a storyteller is like, we got to go back. We got to get in there. But there's a lot of great people doing that, you know, and I think, you know, you're doing that, and a lot of other people are going and doing that sort of boots on the ground exploration. But man, that like kicks into my DNA big time to want to go out. I feel like every time I'm texting with Adam or anyone else, I'm like, what's the latest? Like, where were you just at? What were you just exploring? And man, what a cool way to explore the world and yourself. It's pretty special.
I got two more questions. Skidder Operator, again, another one of my mods. He asks, has Jared heard of the face peelers in South America?
No, but now I know what I'm looking. Now I know what I'm going to go check out tonight. I'll make myself a little note here. The face peelers. Oh my God. That is wild. Do you know what those are?
I've heard of them, but I'm kind of scared to look at them.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that I have like a ledge. I'm like, I'm not going past that line.
Yeah, exactly. And then another one, this is from Randy. He is a great guy. He always sends me things to check out. He would like to know, are you planning on going to film in Canada? Uh, if so, where?
I mean, we have, one cool thing about this experience is a lot of other ideas have come out of it. So we're in Anomatica, we're developing some other shows. Most of them do involve around this stuff, and it does involve travel and exploration and curiosity and aligning ourselves with some people that I guess personally I want to spend time in remote places with. Canada, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for this show, we would interview and talk to people from Canada. We'd probably go up there and do sort of like a remote interview place. But personally, yeah, out of this show, there's been a lot of new ideas, a lot of things that we're sort of kicking the tires on and looking at whether they're viable to get a distributor on board and to fund it. I mean, that's kind of the model for what we've done over the years, right? You pitch something, you get funding, the network owns it outright, but we get the amazing experience of going and making it, and it's always like summer camp. You go with your buddies and the people you love, and you create a memory and you film it, and then you edit that memory into something that hopefully that will resonate with a lot of people. So yeah, absolutely Canada. And there's parts of Canada that I'm one in particular that I can't say right now, but there's one in particular that we're poking around that I'm pretty intrigued by.
Awesome. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh man, was this interesting? I hope it was good. It's fun to be on here and chatting with you.
I wish I had more time with you, man. I really do. I wish I had more time. And like seriously, I've a couple people in the chat says, shoot your shot, Dano, shoot your shot. So yeah, I'm serious, man. If I've got what it takes, if you throw it out here, man, I would love to do something where I get to sit down and talk with people and interact with people and check things out. And I mean, it's just, I'd never thought in a million years that I'd be sitting here next week, which I won't be able to get to watch my own episode because I'll be in the woods. I'm doing like an all-nighter. I'll be in the woods all night long, poking around and listening and filming and making sure the people I'm with that I'm stronger than them so I can push them to the ground if something comes after us so I can get out of there quick enough. So, but yeah.
I'm glad you have a strategy.
I do.
Strategy. Yeah. What's the old adage? Just don't be the slowest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm prior military, brother, so I've always got a plan of action.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I will consistently look for any excuse to get to spend more time with you, man. It's been, I feel like this is just, I remember, Hannah and Dave and Ty and I, when you left, we're like, man, that guy was so nice, such a good guy. And your story was just like so visceral and real. And, I was, emotion means something to me. I think obviously you got a little emotional talking to us, but I feel like that's something it's earned. And I really appreciated that you kind of went there with us and trusted us with that and your story. So heck yeah, man, let's find something else to join forces on again. I love that. I love nothing more.
I would love it, man. And it's on my drive home, I was talking with Josh and I was kind of getting a little choked up thinking about the interview with you today, and I was like, I wish my dad and my little brother were here, because yeah.
I got it, man. Hey, I'm a firm believer that they're aware, man. They're aware of what you're doing and all the cool stuff that you're doing and how your life is this just awesome adventure. And I feel lucky to be sitting here with you as well. This is a treat for me. I got into this field just as a way to explore and push myself and put myself in uncomfortable situations to grow and evolve. And every time I get to kind of sit down with someone, it's weird to have someone ask me questions, obviously, because I'm much more used to being on the other side. But it's a real treat, and I just feel so lucky to have gotten to meet you.
Yeah, dude. So if I get any scoops on some incredible stories, man, which I do, I'm not lying, man. I got some great stories, brother. So tune in. Let me know if you need some people, man. I'll toss him your way after I check out with him, make sure it's okay. And I'm telling you, there's some great stories. I have hyena-faced dog man that was running right alongside a minivan down in Iowa.
That sounds awesome. No, I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't sound awesome. It sounds terrifying. But we had a couple people in the casting process that we talked to, and I totally get it. They're like, wait and see what the show is like. And I was like, totally. There's a vulnerability in sharing stories, and I hope that we're see season 5, because obviously the first season we've done. I keep saying season 1, but it's season 5 of the series. I hope it proves to people just sort of like the respect and admiration that we have for anyone sharing their story, and the level of sort of focus and care we have with taking it. There's obviously, we have this sort of short amount of time. So I know the details that we had to, sort of like wrestle with cutting out, because we had to cut these stories so short. But I sure hope it shows people that, we really care. And I always say that the biggest pressure I always feel is just like, will the people who are telling us their stories like what we've done? And so I will be anxious for you to come out of the woods and just sit down and watch it and tell me what you think. But I think you'll get a kick of it. And the kid that plays you is actually a really close family friend, and he won't watch it because he knows it's going to scare him too much. But he did a really, really great job. And there's one scene, the scene where you're in your tent and your dad goes and and it's around you. That was so fun to film. And once you see it, I'm going to see if you can guess where we filmed that, how we filmed it, because it was a real hoot, and we sort of took a little bit of a different approach to this. So I'll be psyched for you to see it.
Yeah, I'll definitely shoot you an email and stuff like that. But man, keep in touch. Don't be a stranger. And I truly appreciate you coming on. Um, I I will forever be grateful to you and Hannah for giving me the opportunity to get my story out there, my encounter out there on a bigger scale. I never thought that I would do that. I didn't think I would have the courage enough to do that. But yeah, I've got a great support system here in our chat. I got a great community here, and you're more than welcome to come and hang out on any of my lives. Speaking about lives, what about 17th, not 17th, the following 24th and the 31st, I'll be doing 2 live streams, one on Delaware and one on Florida, because I do a series called 50 States of Fear. And I go over cryptids in those states, some stories in those states, and then I read reports from certain sites, either the Dogman or Bigfoot. So yeah.
Cool. Give me a shout. I'd love to come back on. This has been a blast, and it's good to see you again. And you were so you were so welcoming to us. I remember seeing you in the lobby, and just that smile. You're just the most welcoming guy. And I get nervous interviewing people too. Who am I going to meet, and am I going to connect with them? And I just felt so at ease with you. So yeah, man, just give me a shout if you have a live thing. I'd be really excited to hop back on.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
It's been a treat.
All right, man. Tell everybody I said hello. Thank you so much.
I will. Take care.
All right, bye, bud.
See you, buddy. Bye.
Yep, bye. You guys, what did that just happen? You guys, what did you think about this interview with Jared? Honestly, guys, I had a great time talking with Jared. I'm not done. You guys want me to leave? Just end it and just do whatever? Do you want me to kind of stay on a little bit? What do you guys want? You guys want to hear some Bigfoot stories? What do you want? I'm completely energized right now. I had a great time. I'm seeing, and everybody that's in here, thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, drop a 1 in the comments. Let me know where you guys are checking us out from. I'm always fascinated. One of the coolest places that I have seen that somebody listens to the channel is the Isle of Man. And I don't know where that is, but the Isle of Man. And Flat Rock, great to see you, man. It's been a while. That whole ape cat thing, the click-a-clack, what I can't pronounce it. I put something out on Facebook and asking if anybody has seen one of these things, and crickets. I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to get that on. I'd love to have something like that. I've never heard of it before. So yeah, I definitely want to check it out. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know. I mean, Friday got another episode. Saturday is the Saturday release. You guys, I'm doing a membership thing, and you guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm telling you, a fantastic giveaway for the month of January for all members. So if you want to become a member of the channel, go on over, hit join. It's $2.99 a month to join. You get your name in for a drawing, and you get early access to a Saturday release. Now, you guys, this is just a small little portion of what is coming your way. Okay, so this a patch, a couple of stickers. You guys are going to get a full set of the Cryptid Kids. You're going to get this little guy right here, this little Bigfoot right here, 3D printed Bigfoot. Let me show you guys these Cryptid Kids. So we've got Dogman, we've got Yeti. What else do we got here, you guys? We got Mothman. We got, what else we got here? Whoop. We got Jersey Devil. What else we got? Let's see here. Of course, we got Bigfoot. And we got, here we go. Nope, not that guy. Here we go. Here we go. And we have the Chupacabra. Chupacabra. Now, there's 6 in the set. Okay. The winner of the January giveaway for members, it's going to be, you'll get a full set of 6. Also, I got an 11 by 14 or 11 by 16 copy of the logo that'll be sending over there with you guys. But also, I have some sponsors. You know, I like to promote small businesses, and I think he's still in the chat. Maybe he is Aaron from. Well, heck, let's just check it out. Here we go. So if you guys like amazing coffee, then you want to check out Owleye Coffee Roasters, www.owleyecoffee.com. That's OWLEYE coffee.com. If you guys order something, you get 15% off by using the promo code Dano, DANO. Now, from Owleye Coffee, this is what's going to go in the prize pack. I'm going to spin the wheel for first, second, and third place. So third place, you'll get the stickers and a little one of the little Bigfoot, and you'll get a 3-pack of coffee. Each pack will brew a whole pot of coffee for you. Okay. Second place, you'll get stickers. You'll get, and also you'll get something from Rustic Supply Company, Rustic Metal Home Decor, www.rusticsupplycompany.com. They are donating items such as these little hooks, things like that. Now, these are not the ones that they're going to be sending me so I can give out at certain times, but this is the kind of stuff that they do. Okay. And what they're doing is they're going to be sending some items. So third place, you get a 3-pack of coffee, stickers, and a little Bigfoot and one of those. Second place, stickers, a little Bigfoot, a 6-pack of coffee from Owleye Coffee Roasters, and something from Rustic Supply Company. And then the winner, you'll get the Cryptid Kids, stickers, little Bigfoot, patch, a 12-pack from Owleye Coffee Roasters, and some things plural, from Rustic Supply Company. So you guys, if you want to join, become a member, please do so. Get in on these. This is the biggest like giveaway I've done so far. It's $2.99 to join the Cryptid Crew. And yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to bring things to you guys. So again, I truly, truly appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And I see people throwing stuff up here. Hamalama, JJ, Dog, Bigfoot or Dogman. I say Bigfoot. I'm with you on that. Now the Clickatat Cat, Columbia River Gorge, Oregon. See, I'm looking to find someone who's had an encounter with them. I've read about them. I've seen what's online about them, but I'd like to definitely try to find out something. Oh, we got it. Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've got a new member. We have oh man, Untitled. Thank you so much. Hey, Untitled, just let you know, after Georgia is Hawaii. Have you had any encounters? Whether it be with the Fae or the wee people, little people, or anything there in Hawaii, because I'm always looking for something for Hawaii. So, but yeah, you guys. Oh, Ray, what's going on? How you doing? Did I see Bigfoot Michigan Rob jump in here as well? And Roger from Squatch and Holler. Did I see him jump in here as well? Relic, good evening. Who's jumping in? I'm missing out on a lot of people. Everybody, thank you so much for jumping in. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Sherry, how are you doing? Native, what's going on? So again, thank you so much for joining the channel. I appreciate that. Awesome. I don't know where Rob is now, but hey, you guys, thank you so much about giving me all the. Does anyone know what night the draw? So the drawing is going to be from January 1st to January 31st. So it's going to be like maybe the first week of February. Is when I will do the drawing. I'm going to do it live. So yeah, that's what I'll do that. So again, thank you so much, you guys, for being here. And you guys, I'm like riding on cloud nine right now. That was just a great interview. I'm super stoked about you guys seeing the episode that I was on. Let's see here. Did you know you're over? I do. I did. I saw that. I think Monday, I hit like 7,001. So again, I appreciate it. This isn't a hobby, you guys. It's not a job. I'd love to be a job. I'd love to just sit here and chat with you guys all day long and interview people and go on location and things like that. But this is a passion, and I didn't think it was going to grow to where it is now. When I told my story years ago to Wes Germer, again, I never told him the entire sighting because I didn't know how it was going to be received. And now here we are, years later. And yeah, I have a great community. I have great mods. All my mods, I don't know how many of you guys are on here. Thanks, Tracker. I appreciate that. What's up, DK? How you doing, brother? Thanks for doing it. Dude, absolutely, man. New Zealand. I would love to go to New Zealand. Seriously. Oh, Mount Hood, absolutely. But all my moderators, you guys know my email address. Please send me your mailing address. Please. I'm having something made for each one of my mods. I truly appreciate the work that you guys do. And people who are not moderators, don't take it personal or anything like that. It's just that these moderators, if it wasn't for them, JJ, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that, man. Man, thank you so much. If it wasn't for my mods, honestly, I honestly don't think that I would be doing lives because they keep the sanity. They really do, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Someone asked me a question. Krista Wilson, how are you? What's your favorite coffee with Ally? Okay, so somebody may know the name of it, but I'm just gonna call it's poo coffee. I think it's some type of wild cat that goes and eats the cherries of the coffee. It can't process the beans, so it poops out that coffee or those beans, and then they harvest those beans and they wash them thoroughly and whatever, and then they yeah, you grind the coffee. That coffee is fantastic. I'm telling you, it's funny. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but it is fantastic. So let's see. I was born and raised in Southeast Louisiana. Uh, consider going there. You know, I'm not in the position right now in my life to where I can just go and do a bunch of traveling. I've got grandkids, so um a lot of my free time I try to hang out with my grandkids. I go and do um you know, I go to Michigan to see my granddaughter and things like that. So grandsons. So spring breaks I'm heading out to Michigan and you know, I'll do a couple little things here and there, but one day, Lord willing, one day, you never know. I might announce, "Hey guys, I'm heading over to BFE, Ohio and gonna check out stuff there." So, but yeah. So yeah, all moderators, please send me an email with your mailing address, please. I would truly appreciate it. Uh you guys want to hear a couple of stories? All right. If I say OH, what are you guys going to reply? All right. Well, just so happens that I have a couple of there you go, IO. Look at that. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'll read a couple of stories for you guys. I'm in such a good mood. It's a great interview. Awesome, 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 awesome. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to do a total of 5 stories. Okay, 5 stories. So let me I'll I'll do Bigfoot stories. So all I need you guys to do is give me a county and a state. Interview went great, and I just talked about coffee and about Ally coffee roasters. So give me a county, give me a state. Oh yeah, Pierce County, my home. Okay, you've heard of Findlay, Ohio. That's from Flat Rock. Okay. Love the stories. This is an awesome channel. Rick, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, huge dude. I feel like I could go out and just like shovel all the snow in my yard and pile it up and then build like a big fort out of it. That'd be awesome. You want me to do Dog Man? Okay, I'll do 2 Dog Man and 3 Bigfoot. Hey, Ashes, thank you so much, dude. All right. So, Ciani, I'll do a dog. Give me a state you want to hear a Dog Man encounter from. Sherry, thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. JJ, again, thank you so much, man. Dude, you are be careful and yeah, send me pictures, man. Send me pictures. I'd love to see them. Okay. I need 2 state. North Carolina. Okay, we got a North Carolina for Dogman. All right, I need 1 more for Dogman, and then I need 2 more. So for Dogman, I just need a state. And then for Bigfoot, I need the county and the state. I need 2 more. 2 more counties, state combos, and 1 more state. Sabrina, do you want to hear something from Ohio? Ohio? Sherry, you want to hear something from Ohio? Any dog man in Hawaii? Unfortunately, no. So give me a county. Do you want to hear a dog man or a Bigfoot encounter? Yeah, JJ, I'm having so much fun with this channel. I really do. I have a goal. I've already set a goal beginning of the year. I would like to have 15,000 subs by the end of 2026. Need to read it Southern. She's almost Kentucky. So I need 2 more Bigfoots and 1 more Dogman. I need a state for Dogman. Is that Highland County? There's Bowie, Texas. That's Bigfoot. Or Bowie, Arkansas. Okay. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. And Dogman. Let's see here. I need Bigfoot, Kitsap Peninsula, Washington. Washington State Dogman. Okay. All right. And I'll do Kitsap County. Okay. That's it, guys. All right, let's rock and roll. I'll do, because we're only doing 2 big Dogman encounter or stories. I'll read those ones first. Okay, let's see here. All right, so let's check out these encounters. So I'll bring that here. Wow. Sienna, thank you so much, you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. All right, so let's hit up North Carolina first. North Kakalaki. North Carolina. Here we go. All right, North Carolina Dogman encounter. I'm going to do Dare County. That's a short one, so I'll do 2. My young daughter and I were late coming home to the Outer Banks Islands in North Carolina for our vacation rental. I was searching for the real estate office. Man, I said that. I was looking for the real estate office to get the keys, but could not find the office for quite some time, as it was only a cottage set way back from the road. I drove back and forth over the same stretch of road until a dog man stepped out in front of our car and blocked us. Nobody believes me, but I got a good look at it. It was at least 10 feet away from me. The whole road trip was weird from the start to the end. That's like at 3 a.m. And let's go back here. I don't know if I'd want to have something like that just willy-nilly, just step. No. Oh, you guys, I learned a new word yesterday. Who knows what dollywop is? DOLLY WHOP. Dollywop. Who knows what that is? Let's look at Stokes County, North Carolina. Stokes County, North Carolina. Dollywop means like you're gonna get popped, like someone's gonna slap you or something. Sounds something Dolly Parton made up. I don't know what I saw, but I hope I never see it again. The dogs were raising Cain one night, so I grabbed a flashlight and went to check things out. I walked to the top of my driveway to get a view of the kennels. I didn't see anything around, so I started counting sets of eyes. I have 5 dogs, and I counted 6 sets of eyes. I thought, that can't be right. So I counted again, but this time there was only 5. So I turned and walked back to the house and just looked back one more time, and I saw a set of orange eyes, even with the height of the kennels. I thought maybe one of the dogs was on top of his doghouse, so I walked towards the kennel to get a closer look, and then the eyes disappeared. I thought this was strange, but shook it off and came back to the house. Now, later that night around 2 a.m., I stepped outside to smoke. I usually go out back because my back deck is 15 feet up in the air and I don't like the dark too much. Everything was quiet, no dogs barking or traffic coming up the road. That's when I hear the sound of twigs snapping down around the tractor shed. I thought maybe it might have been a deer. I decided to get the flashlight and my gun. I decided to go out and check things out. It scares me talking about it. Now, I live in the country. We don't have bears, or excuse me, we do have bears. We also have coyotes and all kinds of wildlife. I tried to sneak out and investigate and see what it was. I got about 30 feet from the tractor shed when I froze. That's because I saw it. It looked like one of those long haired black German shepherds, but it was just standing and then it started walking upright. Its head was even with the top of the post holding up my shed. My mind was still trying to process what I was looking at. Then it dropped down on all fours and started coming towards me. And I swear this thing was smiling at me, but not in a friendly way, more like the Little Red Riding Hood story. I raised my gun and shot towards it, and it was gone, just like that. All I saw was the orange fire from the blast of my gun, and my butt was running. I was going so fast, my body couldn't keep up with my feet. I tried to wake up my husband, but he blew me off and said I was acting like a raving maniac. I was terrified. When it got light out that morning, we went to check things out. Now, something had torn the wood off the bottom of the kennels, and there were deep claw marks all over the ground. We put up a trail cam, but never got any pictures of it. I try not to go outside much after dark unless we have a lot of folks around. I thought maybe it could have been a skinwalker or something because after that, every time I turn around, the TV was talking about skinwalkers. I ran across this site and it may have very well been a dog man. I know my grandkids are scared to stay here. I try to play it off as a dog so as not to scare them, but they think there's a werewolf in the woods. Funny. It's not funny for me. And that's North Carolina. Let's check out Washington State. I've been dollywopped. Yep. You know, Rick, that's a good question. I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. There's only one flat. There's only one dogman encounter on this site, and it's from Snohomish, Washington. Oh, I bet you if Bigfoot gets his hands on some people, he's gonna dollywop them. Dollywop them into next week. My first encounter happened late one night while driving home to Snohomish from Sultan or Sultan, however, it's just like people say Oregon or Oregon. The two towns being about 10 miles apart. I was with my mom and we had just finished dropping off a friend at her home in Sultan. Real time. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I am. look too young, Dolly Wop. I got 3 beautiful grandchildren. It was late October, and there was an unusual storm going on that night that everyone was talking about the next day. Tremendous cloud to cloud lightning. If you guys have never seen that, it is absolutely amazing. And very cold, dry wind, but oddly no rain. Bright flashes of light, loud thunders, and lots of leaves blowing around. After dropping our friend off, we were on a stretch of road that's very dark with farmlands on either side. It's Highway 2, if you're wondering, and both sides have densely wooded hills. We were driving a 91 Honda Accord, and at this one particular spot in the road, something caught my eye. Off to the left side, which was a farm field, there was a break in the guardrail for a dirt road to go into the field. Right when we were even with that break, I saw what looked like a huge dog coming up, and right then it ran in front of our car, and I hit it. We couldn't see the top. Let's see, we could see the top of its back, which we both swear looked more like a hyena at this point than an actual dog. It had to be huge to see its back over the hood of the car when you're sitting pretty low to the ground in a Honda Accord. Now, its fur was shaggy brown and molted with dark spots, just like a hyena, and its front seemed higher up than its back. The headlights lit it up as it ran right in front of our car, and we could feel it get hit, but didn't see it go either up in the air or off to the side of the car. It was running from the left side of the highway to the right. We were driving westward. It sent my car into an uncontrollable swerve back and forth into oncoming lane, and I just prayed that I could get it under control to keep it from getting into a head-on collision uh, with what looked like maybe a Ford Aerostar van. A calmness came over me, and I felt like my guardian angel had taken control of steering because we missed the van just by a few inches. After going a little further down the road, we both were so shook up that I pulled off to the side. My mother wanted to go back and look for the dog because we both loved animals and we felt bad about hitting something. But I had a bad feeling about going and looking for this dog because it had looked so strange and I was afraid of it. It was dark and stormy. I didn't feel safe and I just wanted to get home. We got back to the car and stopped at the little gas station. When we first got into Monroe, which is the next town between our and Sultan, we got out to look at the front end of the car, thinking surely there might be some evidence of us hitting something that large. We were going the highway speed when we hit it, which was 60 miles an hour. We were looking for like a large dent, maybe some fur or blood, but there was nothing, not even a scratch. The whole thing had a very supernatural feel to it. The look of this dog, which was huge and looked more like a hyena, just didn't seem right. Neither did the timing of it running in front of us like it wanted to make us stop on that dark stretch of road and to get out of the car, which we did, but we got right back in. I never saw it on two legs. It ran on all fours, but there was something so calculated about the way that it came up into the highway and looked at our car, then ran in front of us. It seemed planned. It seemed calculated. It was such a strange electromagnetic type of storm that night as well. The next day, people that we knew that lived miles and miles apart in many different directions were all talking about the storm and one particularly loud thunderclap that shook everyone's homes. They all thought that it was directly over their house, but they were all miles apart. I have 3 more encounters which occurred after this first one. I'm pretty sure this one happened in October of 97, no later than 98. And that was reported by Ruth. All right. Now let's hit up some Bigfoot. Here we go. Jason, good to see you in the chat. Did I miss anybody? Girly Bigfooter, what's going on? Nice seeing you. There we go. Poncho, what's going on? All right. Lori, thank you so much. I'm just getting ready to read your Bigfoot encounter in Washington. Here's Bremerton, Class A. August 2021. This is a short one. Oh, really? No, it's not. Okay. Near Gorst, Washington, Old Belfair Valley Road. I was driving to work one morning and came around the right-hand corner, and less than 100 feet in front of me was a large, upright, dark, hairy object, animal, person in the roadway, walking briskly from the left to the right. It was standing on 2 legs. I observed long arms swinging with its hands bent backwards like it was swimming as it walked quickly to the base of the bank next to the road. By the time I was parallel with where it had crossed, it was gone. It didn't even look at me. My husband and I drove back by there later in the afternoon and didn't stop due to traffic at the time of day, but we did notice areas on both sides of the roads where something had been using it as a spot to cross. I didn't see it out of the corner of my eye. I saw it dead on in front of me. My thoughts were whatever I saw didn't belong there. It was very dark, very tall, and my headlights were right on it. There you go. That's a cool one. That's in Kitsap County. Let's head on back. Let's see here. All right, we're going to do Pierce County. That's the county I'm from, you guys. Come on, guys. September 24th, Class A hiker. Hikers near. Oh, no, I already read that one. No, let's read one I haven't read. Oh, I read that one. Near Key Center. Okay. Okay, this is cool. This is near the Key Peninsula Highway. Nearest town is Key Center. Hello, my husband was driving home late night on the Key Peninsula Highway in Pierce County in Washington State. It is a very forested area. It's a very forested area that does eventually connect with the Olympic rainforest. However, it is also a populated area. He witnessed a 7 to 8 foot tall creature walk from the side of the road into the forest. He stated it was not thin, as thick as a tree trunk, but what is even more puzzling is that he stated that it was a light gray or whitish color and very, very hairy. He was apparently on the phone with his wife when this happened, and he witnessed it in his vehicle with his brights on. Let's look at another one. That was a short one. Let's see here. Man, there's a lot that go way back. See, I should report mine because then mine would be in here. But I don't know if I want to. Nisqually, Washington. I believe it was near Highway 510. This one goes all the way back to 1977. Okay, fellas, here goes. In 1977, I was an Army instructor at Fort Lewis, Washington. We had to take lower-ranking enlisted men into the woods for part of a month-long training while in the NCO Academy. During one of these exercises, a patrol or something, we had set up an observation post along this trail in the woods. I moved away from the troops so as I could better observe them and therefore grade them on their skills. Sometimes, during the early morning hours, I began to smell this foul odor. It kind of smelled like garbage or rotten eggs. For a few moments later, I heard this rustling of bushes and breaking of branches and tree limbs. Now, while all this was taking place, probably about 20 to 30 meters in front of me, keep in mind it was very dark and only a little illumination from the moon. As I tried to focus on the location of this event, I recognized that there was a pair of eyes looking directly at me. This creature was moving from my left to my right, staring at me. It was evident to me that it could see me clearly. I was frozen in place and panic set in immediately. I even crouched down in the bushes to try to hide myself. This thing kept moving and eventually moved out of the area. When it left, the odor disappeared. There was no more tree branches breaking or breaking, but I was petrified. I know this sounds like a load of crap, but this happened, and I have no reason to even mention this after all these years. But do with it what you want. I just thought I'd let you know about my experience. Thank you for your time. He didn't leave his name. But again, this is over 30 years ago when it was reported. So, let's see who got that. Hectic Moments Reactions is our new member. Thank you very much, Skitter. I appreciate that. This is probably around 1 or 2 in the morning when it happened. So, you guys, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you think that when the odor is present, do you think it is because it's a lack of bathing, or do you think it's kind of like a musk gland that they use to kind of let people know, hey, we're in the area, like a rattlesnake does to warn people, hey, I'm over here, just don't come any closer? Do you think it's because in this encounter, he smelled it, it left the area, he no longer smelled it? So, yeah, what do you guys think? They turn the stink on and off. That's what I think. All right. So that's Pierce County. Let's check out. Okay, let's check out Arkansas. Oh, it's Texas. November 1986, deer hunter encounters tall, upright, hairy creature near Wright Patman Lake. Late one afternoon, November of 86, my nephew came down and wanted to go deer hunting at Maud. I grew up hunting at the old Berry farm. I put him in one of the deer stands that my brother and I had put up and I had went on to mine. I told him I would come back by the stand that he would be hunting out of so we could come out of the woods together. That afternoon, it was starting to get dark, but still light enough to see. I started started back towards my nephew's stand. I started up the creek bottom that ran into the big swamp thicket next to the lake when I smelled something that was very foul. I could hear something moving in the thicket. At first, I thought it might have been a deer, but it was too big to be a deer and sounded more like a man walking in the water. So then I thought my nephew had gotten down and started to my stand. I yelled his name so he would know I was coming his way. This thing started to move away from me very fast. Down the thicket, about 50 to 75 yards, there was a little opening about 30 feet across. This thing crossed that opening. I could not believe what I was seeing. It was around 6 to 7 feet tall, dark brown hair covered its whole body. It crossed the opening in what seemed to be 5 or 6 steps. I really don't have enough room to write all this down. I'm not crazy. I know I saw something, and whatever this thing was, it was big. I'm guessing maybe around 3 to 400 pounds. And again, long, dark brown hair covered its entire body. Uh, he later goes on to say that my dad had told me one time that their coon dogs came back to them and wouldn't hunt at all. And something started screaming. It wasn't like any panther or a big cat, and that it had spooked the dogs pretty bad. I had an old man tell me one time something got after them down there while coon hunting. It got one of their dogs, but I really thought the man was just pulling my leg. But after I saw what I saw, it does make me think that they were telling me the truth. My dad, brother, nephew, all have heard screams at different times in the past years while hunting there. I live in Oklahoma, and my brother and nephew also live in Oklahoma now. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 1982. The old man that told me about hearing it has also since passed away, and he was from Hooks, Texas. And this took place right around 5:15 p.m. That is Bowie, and now we're gonna hit Highland, Ohio. Highland, Ohio. OH. What's up, Josh? All right. Highland, Highland, Highland. Nope. Hey, Sabrina, nothing from Highland. All right. Throw up another one, another county in Ohio. Anybody want to? What's up, dude? Hey there, buddy. How's it going? Telling you, dude. What's up, Shannon? I'm gonna tell you right now, I have the best community on the internet. Period. It is what it is. Adams County. All right. Adams County. November 2012. ATV rider is followed on private property. Whoa, is followed. Here we go. West Union, Ohio. Unity Road. I'm sorry. I was taking my 4-year-old cousin for a ride on the ATV. We were climbing an old cattle road. It was a hill. About halfway up the hill, I heard this loud thumping noise. I turned around and saw this huge, brown, hairy, man-like creature running up the hill after us. It was about 10 feet tall, and in its hands was what appeared to be a small log. I was only going about 10 miles an hour, and it was fairly close behind us. We finally got to the top of the hill and into the grass opening, and I laid on the gas. I was up to about 30 miles an hour. It wasn't close to us, but it wasn't far away. At the time, we were almost out of the field. It hurled this log at us. It landed fairly far away. I came back the next day, and the log was not there. Again, they stated it was at least 10 feet tall. It had long, large strides, tremendous arm strength. Earlier in the day, found where it had knocked down a bunch of trees and moss leaned up against a big tree. Could be a home. I'm not really sure. This is about 5:30. Yeah. This thing chased this guy and his 4-year-old cousin. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right, guys, I'm going to do one more story and then I'm dropping out for the night. Let's see here. April 1999. Let's see here. Nearest road is off Service Road 348 near Jefferson Township. This story is as told by my mother, Sue, and later confirmed by her son during a by Mother Sue and confirmed by son during a personal interview. On April 26, 1999, Monday evening around 7:30 p.m., they were finishing up. They were fishing up, and my son 10 was outside in a treehouse when he says he heard some chicken hawks squawking around the tree at about 100 feet from him. He says he looked up and the tree was shaking and then saw a long tail hanging from the tree. He ran up to see his treehouse, ran up into his treehouse and told his cousin what he saw. When my cousin looked out, he became scared and told Joe to run to the truck. They started to run to the truck when he heard a crashing sound. My nephew said he turned and saw, in his words, a monster looking thing. It jumped from the tree and began to run towards them. They came to the house and were shaking so badly that my nephew was crying. He says it had red eyes, long arms with claws on its hands, and strange looking feet for sure. Now I drilled them, and so did my husband, because we wanted to make sure that they kept to the story as they told us. They refused to go back out to the treehouse by themselves. So the next day, I walked them out there, and they took everything down and said they hope they never go back again. My son said to him it was a bad memory. You have to understand, this son of mine loves the woods and is out there all the time, but says he will never go back in the woods again. Now that spring is here and the leaves are out, I don't know how in the world we will ever get this thing. I really hope that you come out here soon and take a hike around the area. So pretty much what they're asking them to come out. They said they had an opportunity to talk to the guy who also claims to have seen something in the woods. I never believed his story until my son saw this strange prints in the snow up there. I apologized to him and told him about the footprints. I also told him I had contacted the BFRO, and he said that he would talk as well. He said that he contacted the Department of Forestry. He told me exactly that his creature looked like, and I have to believe from what I've heard from my son and nephew that they all saw the same thing. So there we go, you guys. That was pretty crazy. You guys, I want to say thank you so much for everything you guys do for the channel. Again, if you guys have had an encounter and you'd like to come on the show, don't hesitate to shoot me an email at thecryptopodcast72@gmail.com. All my moderators, please shoot me an email with your mailing addresses. I would truly appreciate that. To my new members, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure to have you guys. You guys will have, or should have already, early access to Saturday's release show, which is already up and ready for members to view. Don't forget, you guys, your names are going to be entered into the drawing for the January membership run. Again, thank you so much for joining the channel. Thanks for coming in. And you guys, thanks for making that interview with Jared what it was. Great time talking with him. I love seeing the action that was going on in the chat. Again, I truly appreciate you guys. Just let you guys know that next Saturday is what I was supposed to schedule for a 50 States of Fear, but I will be on location. I'll be in there with Josh and myself, and a couple other people are going to be out walking around in the freaking woods. So on the 24th, I'll be doing Delaware. On the 31st, I'll be doing Florida. And then on the 14th, I'll be doing Georgia. And the 28th will be Hawaii. So you guys, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you guys. Can't get out of here without saying what my buddy Josh always says. You guys stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, remember, a legend always begins with a sighting. You guys have a fantastic night. And thank you so much for all you do for the channel. Have a good night, guys.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?